Hey y'all, welcome to the country. I'm Susan with Susan's Country Living. Welcome to my channel. I'm glad that you found me. Happy New Year. It's January the 1st, 2022. And I want to welcome you to my kitchen. Today I'm fixing a traditional Southern New Year's meal with some turnip greens and some peas, using purple hull peas from my garden that I had canned and frozen, and we're having some little bit of ham. And then we're having some what I call duck poppers from some duck that my husband had hunted this fall, and we're going to fry up, call them duck poppers, with some cream cheese and jalapeno and bacon and panko breadcrumbs. And it's going to be yummy. So for dessert today, I'm making a chocolate meringue pie. Now, if you like chocolate meringue pie, be sure to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, because I post lots of just basic Southern cooking recipes. This recipe today is Southern Living Cookbook. This is old. I've had this, my mama bought it for me, and I've had it, she bought it in 1989, Christmas. So if you ever come across one of these in a resale shop, grab it, because the recipes in it are fabulous. So today, just a plain old chocolate meringue pie. My pie crust, it's been baked and is done and ready for a filling. You don't have to make your own pie crust. You can buy your pie crust at the store and just let it thaw out and use a fork to make holes all around. I think it's called docking it, so that when you bake it, you don't get air bubbles coming up. And I did mine really good, and it's turned out just perfect. I probably have a pie crust recipe in a previous video. So be sure to go back and search for that. So what I have today for this recipe, I have in my heavy pot, this is a kind of a copper bottom pot, I've got 1 cup of sugar, 3 tablespoons of cornstarch, that's for my thickener, and a pinch of salt, or dash of salt. To me, a dash of salt's about 1/4 of a teaspoon to 1/2, depending on, I just kind of pour it in my hand and then dump it in there. And because it just said a dash, it doesn't have to be exact. It's not going to affect the recipe that much. So, and also what I did is I've separated 3 eggs. And I had some farm fresh eggs this morning, and I know you see that little blood spot. That's not a little baby chickie. That's when a hen is under stress, when she's laying, then sometimes you'll get those blood spots in there, and they're not going to hurt anything. They're going to cook up, and because you're not going to see them, it's going to be a chocolate pie. I'm not going to worry about that. Sometimes I do pick them off if it might be seen, and people don't want to see that. So I've got my eggs separated, and I put my egg whites in this bowl because we're going to use this for the meringue. So 3 eggs separated. I like to use room temperature eggs. They seem to beat up better. And you make sure your bowl is very clean, that there's no grease or anything, because they won't beat up as well. We'll make the meringue later. What I have is 2 cups of milk, a teaspoon of vanilla. I'm going to use 1 tablespoon of butter, and then 1 ounce of unsweet chocolate, and I've kind of chopped it up just a little bit. That's going to go in a little bit later. So first, what I'm going to do, I've mixed all of my little dry ingredients, the sugar, the cornstarch, and the salt. And now I need to mix my wet ingredients. And it says to mix, combine the milk and the egg yolks. I'm going to kind of break my egg yolks up just a little bit. And you want to mix it till it's really, really frothy. It's good to use a deep bowl so that you're not splashing all over the place, because you want this really good and frothy so that milk and that egg is incorporated. Okay, so it's really good and frothy, and I'm going to add that, and I haven't started heating it yet. I haven't turned it on yet. We're going to mix this together really, really well. This is one of those things where you need to stay by the stove, because you're going to need to stir this, and when it gets to a certain thickness, then we're going to add the chocolate, the butter, the vanilla, And then when the chocolate's all melted, we're going to pour it in that pie shell. And then we're going to make our meringue. You don't ever want to add hot liquid to cornstarch because it will clump. You always want to use cold liquids or room temperature liquids. That's why I've not heated it yet. I like this recipe because I don't have to add eggs to a hot mixture, which can cause the eggs to cook if you don't do it correctly. So I like this because I don't have to do that. Okay, I think it's mixed well. I'm going to turn this on. Medium heat, stirring constantly because you don't want it to start clumping on the bottom. So we're going to let this cook, and when I'll show you what it looks like when it's thick and ready to add the chocolate and the butter and the vanilla. Okay, this is starting to thicken up to boil and to kind of thicken up. You can see it there, kind of like pudding. And I'm just going to give it a little bit more time. It's taking about 5 minutes. A little more than 5 minutes. So you want to stir it so it doesn't burn on the bottom. Until it's thick. When it kind of holds on to that, I'm going to take it off the heat right here. So I've got it off the heat. I'm going to add my chocolate, my 1 ounce chocolate. It's going to take the longest to melt. And we're just going to stir it. It's very hot because of the sugar. A tablespoon of butter, a teaspoon of vanilla. And I'm just going to mix this until the chocolate's totally melted. Butter will melt really fast, and you'll smell the vanilla come up. But I have it off the heat. You can see it's turning chocolatey. Chocolate's melted. Pour this in our pie crust. And I'm going to use my silicone spatula to get all of that pie filling out of there. I went to the bottom. Oops. Up there. And you're just going to level that out. This is still very, very hot. And now we're off to make the meringue. So there is our pie. I have my oven set to 350. And we'll come over here to my KitchenAid. Okay, I have 3 egg whites. I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon cream of tartar. You don't have to add cream of tartar. It does stabilize your egg whites. I don't know if it helps with the weeping. I think that has to do with the dissolving of the sugar to make sure your sugar is dissolved well. But since we're probably going to be eating on this for several days, I'm going to go ahead and add the cream of tartar. So 1/2 teaspoon of cream of tartar to your egg whites. And then I have some sugar nearby. It's going to be about 1/4 of a cup and a couple of tablespoons of sugar. But we're going to add that after it's gets going and beating here. So we want to make stiff peaks for meringue. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of turn this on, start it low. I want to get that cream of tartar incorporated in. I'm just getting higher and higher. It's on the highest setting. Now when you add the sugar, you want to add 1 tablespoon at a time. You want the sugar to dissolve. So I've got 1/4 of a cup right here, and I'm just going to gradually kind of tapping that in. I'm going to get a couple more tablespoons. It's okay if it's not exact. You just don't want to add too much. So we're waiting for stiff peaks to form, trying to incorporate air into your meringue. At a soft peak stage, okay, let's see how this looks. So I'm just going to kind of, and see how that holds a peak right there? And it holds a peak in here. That's a stiff peak. And it is ready. All right, so we have our pie. And we're going to take the meringue and kind of place it around the pie like this, because you want to be able to, you want to cover everything, and you want to be sure that it gets sealed to the edge of the crust so your meringue doesn't shrink. So I'm just putting it, just piling it here on top of this pie like that. Okay, I'm going to go grab my frosting spatula. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that meringue and seal with the crust. So you want it touching. Bring it down here. Seal the edge with the crust. This meringue, because these were really fresh eggs, and they were never been refrigerated. I went and collected them this morning. They beat up so light and fluffy. Plate's not too hot to handle. And I'm going to check it in 10 minutes. Okay, so here it's done. Nice and golden brown. So make you a chocolate meringue pie. They are delicious and yummy. This has to cool and kind of set up. So hope you have a great new year. Health, wealth, prosperity. Eat some black-eyed peas for some luck this year. Bye, y'all.